You ever have a feeling of deja vu?
This is Auto Collabs.
Right before the Matrix, an agent comes to get me. Absolutely. It's been a while, though.
Yeah.
What's your
It's a
feeling of
weird-
deja vu? You can't just say
I'm-
that and not say anything after it.
Yeah.
Unless
I mean,
you say, have you ever had the feeling of deja vu? Right, there's the joke. But
yeah, I got him. Got him.
but it's not funny. Once you're explaining, you're losing.
Yes, that's true.
I feel like deja vu is just the life of an entrepreneur because we get up early, we sit at our desk all day, then we go home, eat dinner, find ourselves in bed, dream about being at work where our brain speaks to us all night about, walks us through the meetings we had that day. And then before you know it, we're right back at our desk again.
Well, I thought you were going to say we wake up in the morning, get some breakfast, walk into the office, pull back that little, it's like a shoe on the end of a wooden stick and it's spring loaded and you pull it back, click, 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 click. And then you stand in front of it and and then it just hits you between the legs and then you just do it again the next day. That's my version of being
an
an
entrepreneurial
entrepreneur.
monk.
It doesn't help that we all wear the same clothes every single day too. So it just feels like
that makes it easier.
Hey,
that does make it easier.
That's how I know I'm working.
you open my closet and it's a bunch of black shirts and black pants.
Yep.
I know it's okay. I'm excited that today's conversation is the first one with our 40 under 40. Right, we have a number of these lined up, and today's the first one.
This one's gonna be
right?
great.
We got Jack Pearson coming in hot from across the pond. If you don't know,
That's right.
You know now, and you'll know as soon as you hear the accent. So hope you enjoy this conversation with us. And one of automotive news is 40 under 40, Jack Pearson. Jack, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh no, happy to be here. I've been following you guys for a while, and appreciate what you guys have done since the crazy COVID years.
Yes, indeed. Well, first of all, I know you've gotten this a lot, but I want to again, on behalf of ASOTU, congratulate you on your 40 under 40. It's not an easy thing to accomplish, and tell us about when you found out.
I found out I was actually coming back from Arizona. I was on doing an Andy Elliott training course there, and I just landed back into Chicago O'Hare. I checked my email and it says, hey, a reporter's going to contact you. You've been nominated and you want to accept it and just go through there. So the next week or so, I was struggling to come up with things about how to maybe make me sound somewhat intelligent, but it's crazy. I've been in the car business 12 years, but it's a strange feeling because I also feel like I've got so much more to do. So I'm trying to be grateful and happy, but also letting everyone know I'm not the finished product. I'm not even close to being hitting what I want to do in the next 6 years. So.
I mean, spoken like someone who is truly immersed in a training and development mindset, right?
Yeah.
You've never really arrived. You're always preparing.
You got to be the challenger, not the champion.
I love it. I have a little bit of a beef with the industry, and maybe this is every industry, because there's a 40 under 40. We were talking about this, Kyle, a little yesterday. What's the next thing you can win? The Lifetime Achievement Award, right? Like when you're in a wheelchair and on your way out?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's really nothing else in between there. So once
There's
you cross
no Hall
40,
of Fame,
which I have crossed 40, Kyle hasn't yet. He's still got a couple swings left, but there's nothing at that point.
There you go. That's right.
I don't know how we're going to fix that.
All right, so take us back because you said you've been in auto for 12 years and you've got a bit of an accent if the people can't tell. Take us back to the journey to auto. Where did that come out of?
Yeah, it's strange. So I came to America in 2008. I was lucky enough to go to University of Dayton in Ohio, get a soccer scholarship there. So went there for 4 years and just loved life. Knew I'd end up living, working in America after that. A lot of people complain about living in America, but it's just amazing. I just love life and super passionate to be here in America. Moved to Des Moines, Iowa. That's where my wife was from. And I was going to get into soccer.
I was about to say, yeah, the only way that you move to Des Moines, Iowa from the Midwest is because of a girl, right? That's it.
Yeah. So moved there, and then I was going to start coaching, trying to find a little college to go coach soccer at, and turned up at a team meeting. I was playing soccer for a team there, and this guy turns up in a Range Rover. He's also English, and so I was like, "Hey, So what do you do? He's like, I sell cars. He goes, oh, the Americans love the accent. Like, you got to get in, you got to give it a go. And
That's true.
I was like, and he's like, dude, you got to come in. Well, I didn't realize at the time he was kind of working his referral pay plan. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how authentic he was about really trying to get me on board, but went down to a company called Willis Automotive. They've got 7 different new car lines, great reputation in the area. Got in and interviewed and started selling Cadillacs. Loved it. Didn't know anything what I was doing. Really, but after about 2.5 years, worked my way up to be Cadillac sales manager, which was strange because I was only 24 at the time, and my team was double my age. So strange dynamic there, and worked
For
my way
sure,
up.
especially especially a brand like Cadillac,
Strange, yeah.
right? Your sales staff is going to be older.
Yeah. I mean, the floor traffic stopped at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon because the Cadillac buyer back then they had to go
Bedtime,
home.
right? It's dinner in bed.
Yeah.
Got to go watch Price is Right.
Yep. So it was strange, but just loved the industry, loved the train development aspect, and there's one thing about being in America, there's always something else to go after. You do something, and everyone's like, good job, but there's always someone else you can speak to, someone else to mentor you, and just try and go a little bit bigger. And there's if you're hardworking, there's always someone to push you up as well.
Yeah.
So
Now go back because, well, first of all, we could spend like a whole another half an hour on just soccer. We'll try not to do that.
It's all right. I talk enough about the Philadelphia Eagles on other shows that Kyle,
fair.
when we get
Fair.
soccer time, I'm okay with it.
But I think, especially in sales environments, and maybe I'm biased because I grew up in playing sports, but I think especially in sales environments, the history of having played a sport really is extremely relatable, right? From the coaching and mentoring, from the competitive nature, like you just said, there's always like that next step, that next
Yep.
goal. What achievement can I hit? Are there key things that you can point to in like your childhood or maybe even playing collegiate soccer that have led to your expertise in sales engagements?
Yeah, for sure. Probably the biggest thing is as a student athlete, for 4 years, you're always busy. Like whether you're getting out of bed
Mm.
at 6 in the morning, you've got, weights lifting at 7, then you've got practice, then you've got 6 hours of classes, then you've got study tables, team meetings, whatever. So I think a lot of people struggle to get into the real world, especially our generation. We have a bad reputation, but being a student athlete and being busy 10, 12 hours a day, you can go into a job. I'd always get to work early. I'd stay late, put my hand up to help. Don't go out to eat for lunch. You bring your own lunch there. Just little things. The time management really helped me. And then probably the biggest thing is in this industry, you face a ton of adversity, and there's not much training or preparation for that as well. I mean, you get told no all the time, all the
Yeah.
time. And just like any sport, you're not going to win all the time. You're not going to always be the fastest, the fittest, the best. Like there's going to be a lot of other people out there that are better than you. And so to have that experience of just going through a ton of adversity, even today when we hire someone on new, it's not really what they're good at. It's like, okay, you're good enough to be sitting here right now. We know that, but what do you like when the stuff hits the fan? Like, how do you overcome adversity? Stuff like that. So I think that helps us, especially in this industry.
You had when you answered like the pre-podcast questionnaire, you said there are a ton of average people in the industry that haven't had their potential unlocked.
Yeah.
Tell us about your mentality toward that.
Well, I'll answer it two different ways. So my coach at Dayton, he used to say 95% of people are average, and it sounds quite hard, but really people don't really push themselves unless they've got the inner drive, or 2, they're in an environment to do that. I really believe that. And then if you want to be in the top 5%, if you get there in some environment, are you then going and putting yourself in a better environment and trying to look for that top 5% of a better environment? Those people who do that, I think, have really successful careers in automotive. But the other thing that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years is the market got so good. The market got so much better than really what we deserve. And now you're seeing a ton of people cut back, changing pay plans, cutting back on marketing, not expanding, because they don't have no idea what happened, and really they got a massive boost without going through any adversity. So as things have changed a little bit now, they're going backwards, and I think the better dealers, the better people, are just taking advantage of it. Just keep going.
So what are the things when you hire, when you look at other teams, when you inherit teams, what are the elements you're looking for in an average person that kind of like make a little light bulb go off in your head from a training development side? What are the things that indicate an average person has it in them to be above average?
It's a hard question. So
it is, but I mean, like, that's why we're asking you.
Yeah, has the average person ever really asked for help? To give you an example, we made a really great hire 4 years ago. He's on my team. His name's Lewis. He was at a busy Toyota store, but he was selling about 15 cars a month. But he was just kind of average there. He'd never really been pushed because no one had ever helped him to, and he'd never really strived for better. Can't remember what happened and changed his life, but he wanted a different direction. So I just asked him if he had a mentor. He didn't really have a mentor. Asked him what some of his dreams were. And then we just went really deep into those questions like, well, tell me about your kids. Tell me about what type of life you want to have. Tell me about the dream car you want to have, and do that. And then I think he saw, what, I have a little bit more potential. And then you just have to get it out of him. So we invest in training and development. And then after 2 years, he's my number one guy now because he had the skill set, and we just unlock that inner drive that he had. But it's just deep layer questions and just seeing if anyone's ever put themselves in an environment where they're not going to be the best, or it's not easy.
I think I'm going to maybe rephrase your coaches. 95% of people settle for average, but everybody I won't go everybody. I'll say the majority of that 95% at some point in their life had a desire to be in the 5%, right?
Yeah.
They wore the jersey of the person that they idolize. They changed their perspective, or they tried to be something that they thought that they weren't. And at some point along the way, there was a life event or a thing that said, nah, you're just not going to be that.
Yeah.
Right. And what you just said is like a mentoring role in someone's life, at some therapeutic level allows them to rediscover that that being a 5%er is possible.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And that's, man, that was for me, Aaron Hill, right? That was the guy that kind of drew that out of me. I was like a, 9 to 12 sales, car a month guy. And then Aaron was like, he did the same thing. I love how you said, like, what do you want to buy? Who's your family? What do you want to do? Like, what are all these things that deep down,
go down the layers.
Yeah, you start going down the layers into your why. And it's like, you start to expose those things, and all of a sudden someone gets reinvigorated to be a part of the 5%. And I think that, like, just to go deeper in that, and maybe you can comment on this, is I think that our industry says a lot that we want to do training and developing, but what we maybe miss is that training and developing requires mentorship as a prerequisite.
Oh, for sure. And they have to be able to look up to you as well. So what I was telling Lewis, I would tell him my dreams as well. I'm like, Lewis, I kind of need you to help. Our values and our goals align. Like if I help you hit your goals, you're going to help me hit mine as well. And that's part of the mentorship as well.
So what are you most excited about right now? So your position, you're at a JLR store right outside Chicago.
Yep.
And what are your aspirations? Like what's your position, your role right now in developing, and like, where do you want it to be? Like, do you want to own a store one day? Where are your goals?
So right now, I love life. I've got a great job. I'm what they call the center manager, which is for some reason the British way of saying general manager.
I was gonna say it seemed very
Yeah,
British, like the center manager. I was like, that feels like a
yeah,
soccer thing.
and we spell it wrong as well.
Centra.
It's with an
Yeah.
RE at the end instead of ER.
Yeah.
But
So they do it in your store. They spell it that way. Like they bring it across the pond and
Yep.
they I
Yep.
like that though. I like
Yep.
that though.
So my main responsibilities is leading the variable operations of the site. I'm also kind of the director for customer experience, and that's with service as well, just making sure everyone's happy and looking at different processes in here. But the majority of my responsibility is just making sure the variable operations run smoothly and we keep growing the business.
And
Um, the next 6 months, I'm super pumped up for. During COVID, we literally had no cars to sell. I know everyone says, "Oh, inventory was down," but we ran a sales meeting and we went over the inventory, and we had 10 new cars on the ground, and we showed our inventory pipeline of there will be 0 new cars delivered in the next 90 days at the store.
oh my goodness.
And they kind of knew, but then I'm like, I gotta address the elephant in the room. Like, we're gonna have no new cars for 90 days, guys, but it's gonna be okay. Like, it's fine. I'm not worried about it. I was kind of sweating bullets here, but I'm like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna figure it out. We massively expanded our used car operation. We're probably one of the only stores in the country that sold four used cars to every new. And that 6 months, it was probably more. I mean, we sold 4 new cars one month, which was just it's absolutely pathetic. But we didn't have any new cars to sell, so we sold
Right.
4 new cars and we sold 65 used. So the next 6 months, we've actually got inventory. We have about a 45-day supply of cars on the ground, and
Hey, now.
we've got killer cars. I mean, Land Rover's just done, and Jaguar's done such a good job. I mean, we absolutely love our product. We're super passionate about it. And we're going to now, a customer comes in, if we don't have something available on the ground, they're out 90 days to get a car. Before, we were giving crappy customer experiences. We have no idea when the car's going to be here. We're going to have no idea if that sound system's going to be available. We don't think we're going to be able to get your car within a year. It might be a year. It might be 3 years. We don't know.
Wow.
Golly.
And now it's like, hey, you want to come in and spend $100,000 in your store? We're going to give you an amazing experience, and we're going to get that car here within 90 days for you.
Funny thing about that. Why do
That's
people
amazing.
why do people choose like the Land Rover experience over like a Mercedes experience? Because the Highline buyer, right? Like they have a certain mindset. Why are people walking in your store?
There's a lot of choices, a lot of nice luxury SUVs. Now, I'll tell you from the Range Rover point of view. So in Land Rover, you've got basically 3 families of cars. You've got the Defender family, which is a utilitarian, adventurous car. Discovery, which is a little bit more family focused. You've got the Range Rover, which the nameplate, you say Range Rover, it means a little bit more to people.
Mm-hmm.
The Range Rover is really a celebration of someone's success, and it might be a nurse who's worked their rear end off over the last 3 years during COVID. They haven't made much money in their life. Now they're making a little bit more, and they can now afford a 60, 70, $80,000 car that says Range Rover on the front. And it's, hey, I've kind of arrived, and I'm looking for the experience to go along with it as well. And it's our job to match up. They've had this car on a vision board maybe for 10 years, and it's our job to help them celebrate that success and deliver them an amazing experience along with that car.
I like that. It's our job
it's
to help
almost-
them
yeah, it's
celebrate
like-
their success.
It's like you're providing an existential moment in their life potentially, right? That this is
massive
like,
deal to people.
yeah.
It's a massive
Yeah.
deal. So
So when you think about that, like, what are the unique things that you feel are a part of not just like, being a progressive car dealer in general, but delivering that particular thing that someone entering that type of purchase process needs or wants, right? That they
So
might not get
yeah,
anywhere else.
there's a few tangible things you can do towards the end of the process. You can bring in a bottle of rosé, you can bring in flowers, but if you really start the journey, customer comes in, we have what's called a CNA during our sales process, customer needs analysis. Everyone's kind of got one, maybe you've got written one down, but on our customer needs analysis, we've got a big circle in the middle, and it says, what is the goal of the customer? And it's our job to help them make a decision. And if they come in and say, hey, I'm looking for a Range Rover Sport, a lot of dealers will say, great, what's the stock number? Have you seen it online? Great, let me go grab the keys. I'll be right back.
Mm.
We have probably 5 or 6 different questions we like to answer. It's like, hey, you probably didn't just step in the dealership today to get a Ranger. Like, what's happened in your life? Tell me a little bit more about it. Instead of asking if they want a cup of coffee or a bottle of water, it's, hey, what Americano can we get you? What cappuccino? What type of latte do you? We want
Talking our language now. Yeah.
And I'm a coffee snob, so like all my sales staff is trained to be a coffee snob as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Gonna get along real well.
So I Paul, I'm moving to Chicago.
Yeah.
We got a soccer guy. We got coffee.
snob, yeah.
It's over. It's done.
And we want to find out why. Is this how long you've been thinking about it? What's special? Where are you going out to celebrate tonight? And then once we know the real purpose, then we can adjust our sales process on it. And sometimes it's not always the customers in the market today. We're going to find out why. But we also, by asking those deep level questions, we're able to generate a lot more rapport with the customer, and it becomes more of a relationship. And then after about 5 minutes of conversation, we're thanking them for doing business with us when they haven't even signed anything yet. Like, we're like, hey, thank you for choosing Jaguar Land Rover South Shore to help you with this Range Rover. Like, we take this really, really seriously, and perks of our job are to help successful people or great customers like yourself with this purchase. So we try and start with the relationship, and then we do a lot of different tangible things towards the end, just add a little bit of icing on the cake. I mean, we actually interviewed a salesperson last week, and they were asking, does your dealership do anything different, etc. And I said, well, we have a lady in the showroom right now that is a realtor, but she just started her own Pilates studio about a year ago, and she's been really successful. And I said, the sales lady who's working with us, Laura. And I was like, Laura should know this. And as she's going into the delivery bay to pick up a car, we put a sign up for someone's name, congratulating them on the purchase. If we know anything that's really important to that person, we'll try and highlight that in the delivery. So I said to this person we're interviewing for a sales position, I said, I'm going to guess that Laura has a picture of this lady's logo on this congratulations sign. And I was like, I'm 99% certain, but I would still put myself out there. And sure enough, I walked out with this person who's interviewing for a sales position, and she saw this logo on there. And that just made me feel pretty warm, because I'm like, that's what we do.
On.
Nailed it.
We just make it
Come
special.
on.
And this lady's, she's crying. I've worked so hard to get this Pilates studio going up. You've recognized that. You guys celebrate female entrepreneurship. I mean, it's just like, good job. We've got that customer for life. I mean,
Right. And that wasn't expensive. That cost you like $0. You're already printing a thing.
But
intentionality.
Laura, my sales lady, she just went through so many different layers for the question to get there in the relationship. So we do things like that. I mean,
have you read Unreasonable Hospitality, the Woken Dara book?
Okay,
yeah,
it's
right
dig
back there. I gotta believe it. This dude is all in, right?
Yeah, book club.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Yeah, this is like that reeks of in a good way of dream weaving, of just like being so intentional with a person. And this is what's crazy. Like, yeah, we're talking about it in the construct of luxury dealership, luxury experience. Like Paul just said, that costs like less than half a penny of ink, right?
Yeah.
But change the perspective of this person on your business forever. It's critical. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And that takes training to recognize, to understand, to make sure the process is crafted in a way that allows that to be exposed through the sales, and the purchase journey. So kudos to you for leading your team that way. Well, hey, Jack, we can see why people have selected and the people have spoken in you leading your team and being nominated as this 40 under 40. So kudos on that. I can't wait to see what you do next, because I feel like I'm gonna need someone to like start vlogging what happens in your store, because it seems like that's gonna be something recognizable in our industry. But thanks for spending a little bit of time today here with us on Auto Collabs.
No, I really appreciate you guys' passion for the industry. I hope you guys keep exploding, and it's cool to see how many passionate people come on and vibe with you guys, because that's what our industry needs. Unfortunately, we don't have the best reputation. It's a fun, outgoing, passionate industry, and I think people like yourself starting to change that.
Changing it one bit at a time. Of course, there's a soccer connection.
Guys, I was so happy in that moment.
We couldn't
I was
tell.
like, okay, I'll only talk about it for a minute. We'll move on past this scenario. The soccer thing always gets me excited.
Well,
And
stop
if you're watching
pretending
the
that you
video,
didn't talk
can't
about it
tell.
8 minutes before we started the podcast.
That is true.
But
That is true. We
granted,
tried
in
to
all
get it out of the
fairness, if the person's a Philly fan, you allow me the same courtesy of
Yeah.
8 minutes of irrelevant to you conversation.
And if
prior to
anybody
starting.
ever, went to Niagara Falls and stepped foot in Canada, we make fun of Michael Cirillo.
It's not true.
There it is.
It
Michael-
just is what it is.
Yeah.
Michael Cirillo makes fun of Canada more than any American can make fun
It's
of
kind of
Canada.
true.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
is true.
Well, the other thing that I think, well, one, we obviously, Will Guidera, Unreasonable Hospitality, this idea of what does a purchase, a service process look like that uniquely cares for the individual beyond just this is the process that we put everyone through, but it's the process that we put everyone through so that we can expose the things that allow us to go above and beyond, right? And that it's so expected in his culture that he would be able to bring someone to the showroom and look across the showroom and be like, I bet you anything this is going on. And then to go inspect it and know that the little thing, the little card had a unique thing for that customer in that
Yeah.
moment that was, for all intents and purposes, free. You just had to be aware.
I mean, MC, you're about to be part of opening a dealership that is stating to be all about customer experience. We'll see if you really do it.
Oh, yeah. Is it going to happen? But you know what? Like when you really think about it, the last 3 cars that I've purchased, and this is going to sound crazy. Some people are going to gnash their teeth. The last 3 cars I've purchased, nobody at the dealership thanked me.
Oh,
It was always
just
like
simple.
all right, guys,
Easy
enjoy
things.
your new ride. Right. It was always one of those. Nobody thanked me. We live in
like
a day
the
and
old
age where
sincere-
we're so ahead
yeah.
of ourselves. We're so overthinking that the basis of a better customer experience could look like a genuine handshake, look in the eyes, and say, hey, thank you so much for choosing us. We know there's a lot of options out there. It means the world to me.
Yeah.
And I sincerely appreciate you.
Yeah.
I don't know how
That's
to
all it
end this
takes.
episode. I think we should I feel like now we should thank people for listening to this podcast.
We
Thank
should.
you. You have more
Yeah.
options in podcasts than people do in cars. Let's just put
That's
it
right.
that way. So we want to thank you on behalf of Kyle Mountsier, Michael Cirillo, the whole ASOTU team, by the way, our producer, Nathan. I feel like we need to go down the list now. We work really hard to put this stuff on so you can watch it. So thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next time on Auto Collabs.
Welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?
Are we rolling yet?